Lucky, to your microphone. Mute.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Yeah,
Okay.
perfect.
And I will move a little bit to show my magnific logo type.
Yes.
Okay, hello to everybody. This is a big pleasure for me to introduce you to Valeria. We will talk today, this afternoon, about food as medicine from the root. Valeria, you've worked across food science, product development, venture capital, and holistic health. Can you take us back to the moment when all of that started to came together? What inspired the creation of Good4U?
Of course. So, yeah, my background is in food science. I started my career in product development before moving into innovation and venture capital, where I worked with a lot of startups across all the food system from farm to table. And at the same time, I was on a very personal journey of healing, and that experience sparked curiosity about nutrition, psychology, and our relationship with food. So then, to better understand the human side of change, I also certified myself as a health coach. And that step was very important for me because it helped me realize that the biggest challenge in nutrition is not only knowing what to eat, but also understanding how and why people struggle to change habits. So about 3 years ago, actually, Gut4U started out as a finished product. It was a freeze-dried mango with probiotics that was sold in Mexico. But later, when we analyzed the probiotic content, it actually was zero, so no probiotics at all, despite following what we believed were the correct processes. This is when I realized how easy it is for products to carry health claims that don't actually deliver, and also how even people within the food industry can miss important nutritional labels and details, and how consumers are often guided by trends rather than science. So, in essence, that experience, together with my professional background and my healing journey, it all made it very clear that food as medicine isn't about one product or one ingredient. It requires alignment across multiple parts of the system. And that's how Gut4U evolved into what it is today, a platform that integrates innovation, science, and holistic health to transform how both consumers and companies approach food.
Very interesting. You frequently mentioned the good microbiome. Why does it sit at the center of your work?
So the gut microbiome sits at the center of the work because research continuously links the gut microbiome to nearly every aspect of health. And it's being said that it's shaped by genetics and also lifestyle, including exercise, sleep, stress, but especially diet. So this is important because food is the most powerful modulator of the gut microbiome. So every meal sends biochemical instructions that affect microbes, inflammation, and energy production, ultimately shaping how we feel, think, and even age.
So, if food is that powerful, why do you think the conversation around food as medicine needs to scale now? And where does the food industry stand in all this, in all of this?
So we live in a fast-paced world, and our eating habits aren't the same as they were historically. Historically, food was survival, and now it's connected with our culture, with our identity, and our habits are often misinformed, also distracted and reactive. So, this has contributed to a rise in metabolic dysfunction in many regions of the world, with increasing rates of obesity, diabetes, and chronic inflammation. And this high prevalence of chronic disease is putting enormous pressure on healthcare systems. So, while there are a lot of incredible advances in medicine, God4U's focus is on reducing the number of people living with chronic illness in the first place and shifting the mindset from reaction to prevention by focusing across the intersection of food systems and human health. So, regarding your question about the food industry, because food is the greatest modulator of the gut microbiome, and the gut microbiome is linked to nearly all aspects of health, the food industry sits at the center of this transformation, holding immense power to influence global well being.
Is this what you mean by closing the gap between science, industry, and the consumer? I'm curious, what are your thoughts and current trends in consumer packaged goods and common labels?
So, innovating based on trends is very exciting. When I was in product innovation, it was very fun to work across product development from a creative perspective. It's fun to build products around what marketing data says consumers are interested in. But there's an important difference between innovating based on trends and innovating based on science, because just because something is trending doesn't mean it's healthy or beneficial to everyone. And unfortunately, marketing strategies in labels are sometimes used without fully considering the potential negative effects, not only from a physical health standpoint, but also from a mental standpoint, so mental well being. And that's why it's so important to stop treating food as a trend and start treating it as a tool for health.
What do you mean by that? Can you give us some examples?
Yeah, I mean, a clear example, I always talk about the ketogenic diet or keto friendly products, because it clearly shows a disconnect between science and the food industry. For First of all, because for decades, thinness has been equated with health, and reducing healthy eating to eating less or avoiding carbohydrates. So, this mindset has fueled misinformation and restrictive behaviors that can harm both metabolic and mental health. And also because much of the data supporting ketogenic diets originally came from studies in people with epilepsy. And while some benefits have been observed for fat loss and certain metabolic markers, many of these findings are largely based on male physiology, not in women. Actually, women respond very different to diet and exercise because of hormonal cycles, and this lack of representation in clinical studies is contributing to higher rates of chronic disease, anxiety, and depression in women. And regarding the food industry, not to say the least, women are the ones driving most of wellness related purchases.
Seems this highlight the need for education, both for consumers and within the industry. How does Good for You approach this challenge at scale?
We approach this by being a platform. God4U is a structured ecosystem both for the consumer and the industry, where science leads. On the consumer side, we work to elevate nutritional literacy, to say it that way, and translate science into practical, sustainable behavior change. And within the industry, we bring together different stakeholders across the food system, from scientists, industry experts, to startups and corporations, and not only from the food industry, but also from the health system, in order to close the gap between health and food. So basically, this allows us to create a space where collaboration, idea generation, and knowledge exchange can happen in a structured way, and ultimately bring the true functionality of food, which is to nourish and provide energy to scale. No. And so, yeah, our goal is to accelerate innovation, to democratize access to credible information, and align everyone involved around a shared objective: improving health through food in a way that is scalable, accessible to all, science backed, and meaningful for both the food industry as well as the consumer.
Very good. To wrap up, what is Good for You looking for right now?
So right now we're looking for partners who share the same value. Whether you are a startup, a corporation, investor, foundation, or part of a university program, this is a new space. So the business models won't be built overnight, especially in food where innovation takes time to truly scale. But that's exactly why we need to commit right now. For too long, food has been treated as a trend, and health claims have become marketing shortcuts, and labels have lost meaning. So we're at a point where innovation in food is no longer optimal, but it's urgent. So we truly want to scale food as medicine. And if we really want to do that, we need to move from a trend driven thinking, uh, uh, from trend driven thinking to purpose driven execution, and to stop asking what's the next trend and start asking what problem are we going to solve.
Great, Valeria. Thank you for this great conversation. And dear audience, if you are a startup, corporate investor, or change maker who believe in scaling food as medicine with purpose and integrity, sorry, we invite you to connect with us. We're open for you.
Thank you very much for having me, and I hope we can connect further.
Great.